I cannot tell you how many times in my life I've thought to myself, I don't eat that much, why am I gaining weight? And I am not alone.
I feel my size does not reflect what I eat.
I'm eating very healthy.
My diet is pretty good.
I'm not one of the worst eaters out there.
It just doesn't sound like you're eating that much.
But the British weight loss show Secret Eaters takes contestants who are certain they are doing everything right and proves to them that they are secretly lying to themselves about what they're actually consuming every day. And as someone who spent most of their life very overweight, I was just a little bit away from being considered class 3, formerly known as morbidly obese. I think the overall message of the show is an important and comforting one if you've ever struggled with your weight even a little bit. The message being, if you're gaining weight, you are eating too much. You don't have a slow metabolism, it's not your genetics, nothing is wrong with you, and you are not doomed. What's really happening is it is insanely easy to underestimate how much we're consuming every single day. There's usually a difference between what we think we're eating and what we're actually eating. Even when we think we're eating an extremely healthy diet, as proved by today's subject,
I can't really see that eating anything different than what I do now is going to make any difference.
One of the most notorious Secret Eaters contestants of all time, a sweet but naive older man by the name of Murray.
Murray, are you a secret eater?
I think I'm the most secretive eater there's ever been.
But first, a quick message before we get into it. If you're someone with big goals but have bad habits and destructive behaviors holding you back, my behavior change course, How to Change, was made for you. It's almost here, so if you'd like more control over your behavior and you're ready to do the work, click the link below for more information. Thanks so much, and now back to the video. So in this episode, we meet Murray and his wife, Helena, a couple in their mid-50s who spent most of their lives fit and healthy, but have suddenly found themselves struggling with their weight.
They've put on 146 pounds between them, but neither think they overeat.
I'm getting all the nutrition I need, and I'm not really eating that much.
I don't eat every meal. I quite often miss meals because I'm not always hungry.
Now, when the host Anna asks them what their diet looks like,
So, what are you eating during the day?
Murray and Helena both claim that they're eating really healthy. They say they both cook most of their food at home, they don't really overeat, and in general, they think that their weight gain just doesn't really make any sense.
Your wife's not eating that
I
much.
can't
No,
believe
no.
that anyone could put weight on eating the quantities that Helena does.
Now, if you've ever seen the show before, you know that they're both secret eaters and that the show will in fact prove that they're both eating way too much. And Murray in particular will turn out to be one of the most iconic secret eaters of all time because of just how off base he was about how much he was really consuming in a day. Now, the fact that both Murray and Helena are certain that they could not be eating enough to be gaining any weight is already a red flag. Why? Because in reality, it's just not that difficult to be eating enough calories every single day in order to be gaining weight. It might have been difficult to gain weight in like 1835 when putting food in your mouth required 3 to 4 hours of manual labor. But in our modern world with super convenient food and snacks, it is insanely easy to consume enough calories to gain a substantial amount of weight every single year. And on top of that, when the host Anna inquires further, we find out that Murray and Helena are both very sedentary.
Do you exercise?
No.
Their favorite pastime is watching TV together. They both work sedentary jobs. And at this point, the most exercise they get is walking the family dog. Now, Murray used to be a marathon runner, but he can't run anymore and he had to give it up. So we have two almost 60-year-old people living sedentary lifestyles. And it's already becoming less mysterious why they might be gaining weight.
What's happened, do you think?
Well, I put it down to age.
What, your hormones, do you reckon?
Yeah. Early menopause.
So you've got menopause going on.
There's this idea that as we hit middle age, our metabolism slows down and thus we gain weight. But apparently this is mostly a myth. And what that weight gain really comes down to is an accumulation of overeating habits, loss of lean muscle mass, and an overall reduction of movement and exercise. And if we forget about the food for a minute, 2 out of 3 of those things were movement related, which emphasizes how important it is for every single one of us to find some sort of movement that we like enough to do every single day for the rest of our lives until we die. If we can just find something that we are willing to do or even excited to do every single day, that is going to go such a long way toward maintaining our health as we age. When the couple is asked to record their food, Murray recorded eating about 3,000 calories starting each day with a large portion of porridge. Helena said she eats small regular meals, estimating her calorie intake to be around 1740 each day. Now, first off, I do have to say, at least Murray is aware that he's eating like at least 3,000 calories a day. He's already at least trying to be more honest with himself than at least like 90% of the people on this show.
You do eat a lot of pastries, whereas...
Where?
In your car, in the house, down the street.
I don't eat pastries.
Most people come on this show and claim they're eating like 1,200 calories a day, then the show has to point out that, nope, whoops, you actually ate that in like one meal. But here's the thing. Based on their own tracking, both Murray and Helena are already gaining weight. A 5'4" sedentary 55-year-old woman who is at a healthy BMI can eat around 1,500 calories a day, while at the same time, a man Murray's height and activity level would need to eat around 2,000 calories. Now, these are just averages based on maintaining the upper end of a healthy BMI. Everyone's different. I'm just trying to give you a rough idea of what the numbers look like if you're in your 50s and sedentary. Being sedentary is literally the worst thing you can do if you want to maintain a healthy body weight. It just biases the numbers in such a way that makes it so difficult. When you're sedentary, the calorie math is rough. Because, for example, say a meal from a fast food restaurant is gonna clock in on average over 1,000 calories. Burger King Whopper with cheese, 743 calories. Medium fry, 398 calories. Medium drink, 221 calories. Total, 1,362 calories. While a British breakfast fry-up from a restaurant can clock in from anywhere around 600 to 2,000 calories. Plus, according to several different polls, 75% of British people consume crisps at least once per week, with 53% of them consuming crisps multiple times a week or more, while 37% of British people have a sweet treat every single day. So just doing the math on some potato chips and a sweet treat every day, depending what and how much of it you have, that's an easy 1,000 calories just in snacks. Not to mention sneaky calories coming from things like fats and oils, sauces and creams, alcohol. Even if you don't allegedly use half a jar of mayo on your salad, these sneaky calories can add up.
Obviously doing something wrong, you know, some things you think, well, yeah, because you eat too many sweets or whatever. But it can't be just that.
Except it literally can be just that. Now, when the hidden cameras and secret investigators track Murray,
Duncan Mee and Cameron Gowlett,
they discover that his weight gain is actually being caused by something a little bit more heavy than just a bit of overeating here and there.
Is it usually a healthy start to the day for you?
Yeah, that's what I think.
So he's eating a bowl of Special K cereal,
Special K, very good for you. Yeah.
a banana, some milk, and then multiple splashes of cream and a massive lump of jam. Look at all that cream. Now, I know the show is like 10 years old, but I am shocked that someone could not realize that pouring all that cream on their cereal is a very risky choice calorie-wise. And I guess Murray wasn't using just any old cream, but something called double cream. And as you can see, he was really laying it on there. Now in Canada, we don't sell double cream. The closest thing we have is whipping cream. Now whipping cream is a lot thicker than what you might put in coffee. It's usually only used in things like sauces or in desserts. But even whipping cream isn't the same as British double cream. While whipping cream is 36% fat, British double cream is 48% fat.
It's low calorie cereal, isn't it?
And when it was all said and done, it turned out that Murray was adding 1,400 calories of cream to his cereal, which really points out why it's so important for every single person to learn just even a little bit about calories and nutrition. This whole situation and like 75 pounds of weight gain could have been avoided if Murray just knew a little bit, if he just took the time to take a look at the side of the box of double cream. I think for people who struggle with their weight at all, one of the most helpful things that you can do is just spend some time tracking your calories and getting to know how many calories are in certain things. Not necessarily forever, just to get an idea of how calorically dense certain things are. Otherwise, you're completely flying blind. You have no way of really even guessing how much you could be consuming on a daily basis, leaving you vulnerable to Murray moments, meaning you could be like Murray, eating 1,400 calories of accidental cream in your cereal. And because Murray had absolutely no idea how many calories he was consuming, not only was he consuming all that cream, but he was actually eating 4 times the serving size of cereal. And obviously the cream thing was kind of in its own league, but the cereal thing is not difficult to do at all. I can actually remember the first time that I realized how much cereal is actually in one serving of cereal, because it was just so much different than the amount of cereal I was serving myself every single morning without having any idea. And it's interesting that Murray was eating Special K, and he keeps mentioning how healthy the cereal that he's eating is.
Special K, very good for you. Yeah.
Because Special K in particular did a really, really good job of marketing itself as the healthiest breakfast ever in the early 2000s. Like, I can remember thinking of Special K as this like weight loss cereal when I was a kid, and so I went back and I looked at some of the commercials now, and you actually really cannot blame Murray for thinking that Special K was this like super healthy choice that he was making.
If you find muesli a bit too heavy, now at last there's an alternative, and it's from Special K.
Drop a jean size in 2 weeks with the Special K Challenge.
Create your free personalized slimming plan.
And get the scale moving in the right direction.
Get more delicious every day.
Lose the holiday fat. Keep the muscle. Lose the fat.
What will you gain when you lose?
This is very much so peak 2000s era diet culture marketing. And it also really just kind of makes no sense. This refined carbohydrate, sugar-laden cereal is marketing itself as if it's going to cause people to somehow spontaneously lose weight. And if you had no clue how weight loss worked, I feel like you could think that this is a cereal that you could feel was like a more the merrier situation.
It's low-calorie cereal, isn't it?
So I feel like we can give Murray this one. But in reality, there's nothing special about Special K. It's not even particularly low calorie or anything. And for me, eating refined carbohydrates first thing in the morning is like a recipe for being starving the rest of the day. And that tends to be how it works for most people, according to most research on the topic. So Special K might actually be like the worst thing you could possibly consume for breakfast, if you think about the way it might impact what you choose to consume later on. And when it was all said and done, it turned out that between the cereal, the cream, the banana, and the ladles of jam,
that bowl of cereal there contains 2,500 calories.
I would never ever have believed that.
2,500 calories in a bowl of cereal. That has got to be a secret eater's record for a food that is genuinely healthy seeming on the outside. But yeah, this is why Murray, the man who managed to turn a bowl of cereal into 2,500 calories, is one of the most iconic people in secret eaters history. The thing is though, I've been going on and on about how easy it is to gain weight even when you're not overeating to some insane degree. But Murray was eating quite a lot in reality.
Well, Murray, you're a very lucky man because you've got a lady on hand who's cooking for you. So there's no need for you really to go out and buy anything when you're on the run or anything like that.
Not really.
Nah.
It wasn't that he was just eating healthy and making a few major mistakes. The private investigators also caught him consuming the following just while he was at work one day.
What has Murray eaten today?
3 cheese and piccalilli sandwiches, microwavable hot dog, 2 bags of kettle chips, 1 apple pie for 2, 3 slices of meat feast pizza, and 2 slices of garlic bread.
Bringing Murray's total consumption on average to...
During surveillance, you got through 6,000 calories a day.
I can't really see that eating anything different than what I do now is going to make any difference.
Not one change, Murray. Not even one. Now, I guess Murray was an ex-marathon runner and they have to eat a ton. So maybe he just got used to eating a lot and then didn't update his eating habits as he aged. Or perhaps he's just in denial about his eating habits because the private investigators also caught Murray sneaking fast food and takeaways while out of the house so that his wife didn't notice. So not only is Murray a secret eater because he's unaware of the calories in his regular foods, he's also a secret eater in the traditional sense as he eats food in secret away from Helena. It's funny, Murray's situation was so extreme and out of the ordinary that he ended up doing a Daily Mail interview afterwards, and this is what he had to say. I was eating semi-correctly, or believing I was. I thought I was eating plenty of fruit and salad. I thought if I ate 1 piece of fruit a day, then I was eating healthily. But on one particular day, I'd eaten more than 8,000 calories, he confesses. I was shocked to the core. The problem, as Murray is only too willing to admit, was a lack of knowledge about what healthy really means, and as a result, foods such as jam and cream formed a recurring part of his menu. Helena and I talk about healthy eating a lot, and we always say that people don't know enough, he explains. I think there's a lot of people like me out there who started putting on weight in their early 20s and don't know how to get rid of it and avoid things like diabetes.
Murray, are you a secret eater?
I think I'm the most secretive eater there's ever been.
And it's really so true. Like, unless you're really interested in learning how to eat healthy, how would you even know like what it means to eat healthy?
This is very healthy. Now,
some people will never have weight issues their entire lives. They'll remain 5 to 10 pounds away from whatever they were in high school, and they'll go their entire lives without having to worry about food or managing their weight whatsoever. Some people just have weights that are kind of like regulated. They just kind of stay the same forever. But for the rest of us in this modern food environment, we have to be intentional with what we consume. Because if we're just mindlessly eating whatever is around us, given the current food environment, we are very likely to struggle with weight gain. Murray and Helena are dealing with something that I think is going to become a much bigger problem over the next 20 to 30 years. I think we're going to see a lot more stories just like this. People who maintained a healthy weight when they were younger, who never really had to think much about what they ate, but then slowly over their lifetime, things started to shift. They gain a few pounds here, a few pounds there, and then over 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they suddenly found themselves overweight or obese and then had no idea really how to deal with it because it's not something that they had to think about or worry about when they were younger. But if you gain 1 pound every single year, then in 30 years, you will be 30 pounds heavier. And if you gain 2 pounds or 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 15 pounds, those numbers get much, much worse as you get up in age. And going back to the modern food environment, this show mentioned that both Murray and Helena were 56 years old. Murray would have been born sometime in the late 50s, so he was in his 20s in the late 70s. In the 1970s, most people were not overweight, and actually obesity was pretty rare. And researchers believe that this is mostly due to how different the food environment was between then and now. In the 1970s, most meals were still cooked at home. A standard dinner for a British family would be quote-unquote meat and 2 veg. And the 70s were actually that same decade that all those cursed recipes that you see online sometimes are from. My point being that the food culture at the time revolved around home-cooked meals, which included having dinner parties with like jello meats, as opposed to convenience food and eating on the road. Back then, fast food was just beginning to take off.
This 9-layer gastronomic indulgence is known as a Big Mac.
It was not something that you had very often. It was more of a treat. And high-calorie snack foods and convenience foods did exist, but we didn't really eat a lot of them. The most common convenience foods were like Swanson's TV dinners and like Campbell's chicken soup. So as a result, if you're growing up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you probably didn't have to think much about what you consumed at all. But today, things are a little bit different. Convenience foods have taken over. Junk food is in every aisle, and fast food is on every corner. It's hard to get away from it. That's why these days being aware and intentional about the food choices we're making is absolutely vital. But while Murray is the star of this episode, Helena represents a problem that is probably more common than 2,500 calorie bowls of cereal.
I try and cook from scratch, like chicken, jacket potatoes. I think it's fairly healthy diet.
When the show tracks her food, they find that, in fact, she is not eating exorbitantly or anything. She is not sneaking takeaway meals. She is not having gigantic bowls of cereal. She has a very normal diet, but she does have a sweet tooth and has no idea how many calories are in the sweet foods that she's eating, resulting in her eating in a way that simply adds up to weight gain over time. Starting with the 2 sugars she takes in her coffee, times that by the 5 coffees she has a day, resulting in 10 teaspoons of sugar in just 1 day, which adds up to 40 grams of sugar and 160 secret calories.
Over the course of the surveillance, you got through around about 1,200 calories just in hot, sugary drinks.
Then they find Helena having a turkey roll and jam donut, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, cookies, and a tiny piece of chocolate. And what the cameras and investigators discover is that over the tracking period, she ended up eating 1,700 calories of sweet foods in total.
Over the course of a month, same number of calories as these 104 chocolate bars.
which again, I think they say it's over like 5 days or something like that. It seems like they're trying to make it seem like that's some huge number, but it's over 5 days, which means it's just about 340 calories per day, which a Krispy Kreme donut is exactly 340 calories. A Starbucks vanilla frappuccino is 380 calories, and a crumble cookie is around 800 calories somehow.
Yeah, because you eat too many sweets or whatever. But it can't be just that, it's got to be more.
And as Helena learned the hard way, it absolutely does not have to be more than that. If you're already eating at maintenance or just above that, an extra 340 calories per day adds up to almost a whole pound a week. Times that by 20 years and mystery solved. And that's not at all to suggest that people can never have a sweet treat, but I think just being thoughtful and intentional with what you consume is so helpful. You can definitely be healthy and have sweet treats. You can have your cake and eat it too, as they say, just by knowing what treats are worth it and what treats are not. In the end, Murray and Helena end up making great progress. Over 6 weeks, they both lost around 1 stone.
The stone mark there, mate.
And Murray has even begun going to the gym and running again. And this is one of the reasons I love Secret Eaters. It just goes to show how a little bit of awareness can lead to big results.
I was a secret eater, but not anymore.
Now, if you want more behavior change content, check out this playlist I made here, or you can check out all my Secret Eaters content here. I highly recommend my episode on Dawn, #JusticeForDawn. And if you're ready to change, click the link below for more information on my course, How to Change. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.